Ever walk into a room after a fire's been put out and think, well, at least it's over.
Yeah.
Like, you know the worst is done.
Yeah.
We're tackling that misconception today head on.
Yeah.
The danger doesn't just disappear when the flames are gone.
Right.
We're doing a deep dive on smoke damage.
Okay.
And honestly, what you see after a fire, that's just the start.
Yeah.
We've got some excerpts from CARSI today.
Okay.
They're an Australian institute. They specialize in restoration training.
Right.
And they lay out the unseen challenges of smoke damage
Uh-huh.
in a way that, honestly, it'll change how you view fire damage forever.
It's true.
So it's like an iceberg, right?
Yeah, smoke damage is kind of like an iceberg. You can see the soot, on the surface, but the stuff that's lurking underneath, that's what's often far more extensive and hazardous.
So let's talk about that. Like, what are we missing when we just see that surface level soot and charring?
Yeah.
This article goes right into the science of smoke.
Yeah.
And it's kind of terrifying, honestly. It's not just about what we see, right?
Right. The article really emphasizes the insidious nature of smoke.
Uh-huh.
Like these tiny particles, you can't even see them.
Yeah.
They get into absolutely everything.
Wow.
Microscopic bits of combustion byproducts, soot, tar, chemicals, even heavy metals in some cases.
Really?
Infiltrating, porous materials, seeping into cracks and crevices. You wouldn't believe it.
So, okay, it gets everywhere,
Yeah.
but is it really that big a deal? I mean, it's not like a little dust is going to, bring the house down, right?
Well, it's less about the house, collapsing.
Okay.
And more about, the invisible threat to your health.
Okay.
Like all those particles we're talking about.
Yeah.
Seriously bad for your lungs.
Really?
Yeah, you could have asthma, bronchitis, even long-term lung damage with prolonged exposure.
Wow.
And for anyone with allergies or anything like that, it can be, oh, man.
That's something I never even considered.
Yeah.
Like you said, you focus on the visible damage, but the health risks are huge.
Exactly. And that's where the pros come in.
Okay.
It's not about making the place look nice again. It's about making it safe.
So are we talking hazmat suits here?
Yeah.
If these particles are so tiny and they get into everything, how do they even begin to deal with that?
It takes a specialized approach.
Yeah.
But before they even think about cleaning, a thorough assessment is crucial.
Okay.
Because you need to know what you're dealing with before you can treat it right.
So it's like a doctor diagnosing an illness before they try to treat it?
Exactly.
So they're coming in with a plan, not just with, mocks and buckets.
Absolutely. They're looking for things that you might miss, like discoloration patterns.
Yeah. Okay.
Checking behind walls and under floors.
Wow.
They're trying to figure out how far did the smoke travel.
Okay.
And it's not just what we can see.
Right.
They use special equipment to detect those tiny particles, assess the air quality.
So it really is detective work.
Yeah.
Piecing together, okay, where did the smoke go? Where might it be hiding?
And speaking of hidden dangers,
Okay.
there's another challenge the article highlights: water damage.
Wait.
How after a fire rained.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we even get into that, we've covered so much.
Yeah.
And I don't want to rush this. Let's pause here, and then we'll dive into the restoration process in more detail in the next part.
That's good.
Okay, so we talked all about, assessing the damage, the detective work of it all.
Uh-huh.
But let's get into the cleanup.
Okay.
Like, what's the plan once the restoration pros, once they know what they're dealing with?
Well, you know how we were talking about those microscopic smoke particles being so dangerous?
Yeah.
That's where this specialized equipment really comes in.
Right.
They can't just wipe things down and call it good.
Yeah, no kidding. It'd be like trying to vacuum up dust with a screen door.
Right.
What do they even use?
HEPA vacuum.
HEPA vacuum.
Yeah. High efficiency particulate air.
Okay.
And those things are designed to trap those super tiny particles.
Okay.
The ones that a regular vacuum would just blow right back into the air.
Makes sense. So how small are we talking?
I think they're 99.97% effective at trapping particles as small as 0.3 microns.
Okay. I don't even know what that means.
It's tiny.
Okay.
Like a human hair is 75 microns.
Okay, so these particles are way smaller than that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about the stuff that's not just sitting on a surface?
Right.
Like the article talked about smoke getting into everything.
They use these specialized cleaning agents.
Okay.
They're designed to break down the smoke residue, but not hurt the stuff they're cleaning.
And these aren't just what I have under my sink or
No. They're special formulas.
So they just match the cleaning solution to they match it to the type of smoke?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, everything burns differently, right?
Okay.
So wood smoke is going to be different from plastic smoke.
Great.
Different from electrical fires.
Okay.
And all those different types of smoke leave behind different residues.
Okay.
And those residues need, specific cleaning approaches.
So it's like smoke has fingerprints.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So they can look at it and be like, okay, this was this type of fire.
And use those residues to figure out, the best way to clean it.
Okay, so that's cleaning, but what about the smell?
Right.
You walk in and it's like, whoa, campfire went wrong in here.
Yeah, the lingering odor.
What do they do? Industrial strength air freshener.
That would just cover it up.
Okay.
They actually use things like ozone treatment.
Ozone treatment, like the ozone layer.
It's a really powerful oxidizing agent.
Yeah.
It's a molecule, 3 oxygen atoms, and it reacts with those odor molecules and breaks them down.
So it's not masking it, it's like destroying it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they ozone the place and then that's it. Good to go.
Well, the CARSI article really stresses that they don't just do that.
Oh, okay.
Ongoing monitoring is super important.
Okay.
Like they might put in odor absorbers, that keep neutralizing stuff over time.
Okay.
And then, follow-up visits too.
To make sure that there isn't like mold or something growing from, whatever they had to do.
Exactly.
Wow. So it's not just, here you go, we're done.
Smoke damage can be really sneaky.
So it's professional assessment, specialized cleaning, odor neutralization, ongoing monitoring.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than I thought it was, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But what about, you mentioned water damage.
Right.
I'm not letting you get away with that one.
Yeah.
How does that play into this whole thing?
Another really important part of fire damage restoration.
It really is kind of ironic when you think about it.
Yeah.
Fire, water, like they're supposed to be opposites.
Total opposite.
But they go hand in hand when it comes to fire damage.
It's a classic example of one problem leading to another.
Right.
They use all that water to put out the flames.
Which, obviously, you have to do.
Right. Essential.
Mm.
But then all that water, it creates a whole other set of problems.
So we're talking more than just like a little dampness here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way more.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. They're using these huge hoses, spraying thousands of gallons of water
Wow.
into a building,
Okay.
And all that water, it's going to go everywhere. Walls, floors, ceilings, soaking into insulation, warping the wood.
Oh, man.
It could even mess up the electrical systems.
So if they don't deal with that water quickly, what happens? Mold?
Exactly. Mold loves that moisture.
Right.
It can start growing so fast.
Yeah.
Like 24 to 48 hours.
Wow.
And remember those microscopic smoke particles we talked about?
Yeah.
Water can actually reactivate those so they become airborne again.
Oh, no. It's like taking 2 steps back for every step forward.
It's a mess.
So how do they even begin to handle that on top of everything else?
Well, it all just factors into their overall plan.
Eh?
They'll use moisture meters to find the areas where it's really soaked,
Okay.
that you might not even be able to see.
Right.
And then they've got these commercial dehumidifiers to dry everything out.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they might even have to, remove and replace entire sections of material if they're too waterlogged.
Just to stop the mold from growing.
Exactly.
So we're talking about a lot here.
Yeah.
It's the visible damage, the invisible particles, getting rid of the smell, and then dealing with the water.
It's a lot.
This is way more complicated than I think people realize.
It really is. And that's why it is so important to call the experts if this ever happens.
Yeah.
They know what to do. They've got the experience.
Right.
And they have the right tools for the job.
Yeah. Don't try this at home, folks.
Yeah.
So what's the big takeaway you want to leave with our listeners today about smoke damage and all the stuff we can't see?
That fire damage is complicated.
Yeah.
It's not just what you see on the surface.
The after effects, like we've been saying, they last a lot longer than just that initial fire.
And that's why fire safety is so important.
Absolutely.
That's your first line of defense.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by all of this and be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But this is, this knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
It helps you make better decisions, be more aware.
For sure.
And hopefully, just that awareness will make people prioritize fire safety in their own lives.
And hey, if you ever do find yourself dealing with fire damage, please don't hesitate to call in the professionals.
They can help you sort it all out. Well, on that note, we'll leave everyone with this thought. Knowing what you know now about smoke damage, how will this change how you think about fire prevention at home, in the workplace, wherever you are? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.